And if you could please lead us in the pledge. So I'm going to turn it over to this young man right here. And can you please tell us your name and then lead us in the pledge?
Liam. My name's Liam. Okay.
All right. Liam.
Stand up, right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Next, we're going to go to adoption of the agenda. And we do have one recommended change. We'd like to move the school site presentation from Delaware Elementary to be item 6.1. With that, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So you need to move that, to 6.2.
To 6.1.
To 6.7. So moved with that amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Next, we'll talk about comments from the public on non-agenda items. Wendy, do we have any comments on non-agenda items?
We do not.
Now we're going to move into our special presentations, and we're going to get started with our school site update from Delaware Elementary. And I'll turn it over to you, Blake, if you have any comments to open your remarks, we'll get started.
Well, I'm just excited to announce Delaware presentation, the spotlight on the school this year. So happy Jesse's here, and I see a cadre of people with her and some wonderful students. I'm just excited to hear.
All right. Cool. Do you want to come with me? Why not? Okay, so I have rest of the Hello. Okay, I'm Jessie Loops, and I am the principal of Delaware. Good evening, everybody. I have with me our student council members. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
My name is Liam Wilson, and I'm student council president.
I'm Kiana Lee, and I'm vice president. I'm Kara Hubbard, and I'm secretary.
And they will be helping me present tonight. So we will be talking about our school snapshot, and we will be talking about the initiatives that we have this year. And going forward, we will be talking about math, reading, our student wellness and safety, and some of our upcoming events. So our quick snapshot, I'm sure you're all aware of this, but I just want to bring it up so everyone can see this. We have 610 students currently. We have 30 classrooms. We have 3 bungalows. We have a music program. We have Ni Hao program, and we also have Right at School. All of those programs are using the bungalows and other classrooms that we have. We have 68 total staff that are our Weisburn staff, which are 31 certificated, 37 classified. We also have an additional 30 plus contracted classified staff members who are not part of, they're contracted out, so they're not part of Weisburn. And so what I wanted to focus on tonight is the initiatives that we have at the school going on right now. At the beginning of the year, we did a lot of meet and greets. We talked to different teachers. We talked to different parents. We talked to students just about what they thought would be helpful for the school or what they thought maybe the school was missing. And ultimately what we arrived on was the engagement piece of this. So we really were trying to look at how we could engage the students more. And I think that would ultimately be reflected in everything that we do. Of course, the academic piece would be supported by that, but also just the social emotional piece and everything that we work toward. So, and if we're looking to engage, empower, and elevate, we have to engage first, right? So what we did with all of the students who I have with me right now and a bunch of the other students is we're working toward these initiatives to help kind of bridge that gap and try to get to where we want to be. So we do have upcoming, we've just started Monday assemblies, friendship club, school paper, SOAR story, student council, more involvement, and our students are going to present that piece to you now.
Good evening, members of the school board. I am Liam Wilson, Student Council President, and I'd like to tell you how, thanks to the PTA's generous financial support, we've been able to change the ways we use source slips. In the past, students earned source slips by demonstrating good behaviors, and they would be eligible for a raffle. By doing it that way, a lot of students were not recognized. We're excited to announce that we'll be opening our source store twice a month, where all students can use their source slips earned through positive behaviors to purchase a variety of items. The school will be run by our counselor, parent volunteers, and student council members. This new initiative is a great way to encourage and reward positive behavior, and we're all looking forward to it. Thanks again for our PTA for making this happen.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Kiana Lee. I'm Delaware Student Council Vice President, and I'm here to share how we've introduced Monday morning assemblies to boost school spirit and bring students together. These assemblies give us a chance to share important announcements, celebrate achievements, and highlight opportunities for everyone to get involved. What makes these assemblies even more special is that students actively participate, helping to make each one fun and engaging. We've seen how much our classmates enjoy these events, and it's became a great way to kick off the week with energy and excitement. I also wanted to tell you about our school paper, which we are in the process of creating, set to be published in late spring. We're working with Miss Pitlock to produce the paper 3 times a year. It will highlight school activities, provide information about upcoming events, and feature articles written by students. In addition, the paper will include special sections focused on students, teachers, and our community. We're excited to bring this new opportunity to our school and look forward to sharing it with everyone. Thank you. Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Kara. I am the Delaware Student Council Secretary. In the Student Council, we bring Eagle Pride to our school. We hold meetings with the representatives from each classroom, and we vote on the next Spirit Day. Then we all go home and make posters about that Spirit Day. Although that is not all we do. Thanks to our principal, Miss Lubes, we are having more students involvement than ever before. Me and my fellow student council officers run the Monday assemblies, Spirit Days, and we'll be helping with the student store and also the Friendship Club. Also, I'm excited to let you know that our school has partnered with Friendship Foundation to start a Friendship Club. This club will bring together students from all different backgrounds for fun activities and meaningful conversations. It's all about celebrating inclusion, making new friends, and building a stronger community. We hope to create a space where everyone feels welcome and appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Well, decision making there. Okay, so right now, as you know, all of the other elementary schools are doing this too, but to bring this up again, we are using Eureka Math Squared, which I think it was a little bit of a rough patch in the beginning because there was a lot to learn, but I think the teachers are embracing this now. And we have our weekly focus on mathematics with our different grade levels. And you know, that you've been talking about this with all of us all year, but this has been the focus, math. We have our one-to-one coaching with our professional development, with our district math specialist, Holly Compton, who is the most amazing person. And and I'm not a math lover, and she's turned me into a math lover, which is a big feat. So we also have right now our COSN post fellowship year. So we have our 5 teachers who had already been doing this with our 1 mentor teacher. And then we have our 4 days of the school-wide learning around number sense routine with our consultant, Berkeley Everett, who I'm sure you've heard of Berkeley. And he is from the UCLA Math Project. We are also planning nearby school visits just to see what they're doing and how they're using CGI. And we invite you all to our math night on March 26th. We are looking forward to that. That'll be very fun. And of course, our reading, we have our focused intervention, and these are our 2 intervention teachers on each side here. We have, we increase the frequency with individual goals, and we have all the small intervention groups that we decide based on, teacher advice to the intervention teachers and then different scores that they have, different metrics that we use. And then, of course, we're all involved in our Capturing Kids' Hearts program. And so that is comprised of, we have daily lessons, or I'm sorry, daily practices, weekly lessons, and support from the counselor. So the counselor pushes out weekly lessons so that the teachers don't have to create those. They're just given to them so that they can put that into their lesson plans for that week. And then we also have our monthly DEI lessons, and those are produced by Dr. Ingram and the whole counseling team. And that is sent out to the teachers as well. And that is something that we use in our assemblies. So whatever the theme is, we use for our assemblies. And as our students here just mentioned, we are starting our school paper and our friendship club, and we're very excited about that. That was something I was very involved with at my former district, and I just think it's an amazing program. So also, I just want to say the 47 high resolution cameras are the greatest thing ever, because if there's anything that happens, I can say, hey, I've seen that on the camera. And they're like, oh, really? Okay. And then they tell me the truth and it's over. But I think everyone feels really good about having it. It's just, we are so grateful that is on our campus, and they're really good. I mean, have you seen them? Come over and visit. And I want to show you, because I feel like I'm on like TV with like a fake thing, but it's real. Like you can zoom in on people's faces. It's just awesome. I love it. And so, did you want to share? Our students are going to share our upcoming events.
Okay. March 26th, we're doing math night from 4:45 to 6 o'clock. March 27th, we're doing a read-in various times.
What's the read-in? What are we doing in the read-in? Do you remember?
No.
So our read-in is just basically, we have different adults it could be parents, it could be family, friends, and so forth. It might even be Helen Bell coming in to read in the different classrooms. And then the second grade does something a little bit different, where they do kind of like the picnic-y thing, but they do that separately. But it's really cool because everybody gets to bring in a special secret reader. So it's divulged at that moment.
Okay, our book fair is March 31st. March 31st to April 4th, and it's daily from Monday to Thursday.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wanted to say Liam, Kiana, and Kara, all three of you did a fantastic job. Thank you for coming and presenting today. I think you can all be proud of representing your school site. You all did an amazing job. Thank you. We love seeing you here at the board meeting, and also looking forward to when that school newspaper gets published. Please put me on the distribution. I would love to read it. So thank you very much for your presentation. Anybody else on the board?
Really great job. I'm sorry that I was not truthful. It was definitely more than 12 people. I apologize for that. Sorry, I did not know. But you guys did such a fabulous job, and thank you so much for representing your school so well.
One last thought again to Liam and Kiana and Kira. You not only represented your school, you represent other students in the district. You are the reason we all are here. You're the most important people in this whole district, you and the students you represent. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here.
Thank you again for your presentation. We're going to move to our next item 6.2, special presentation on our measure EE by NAZ. Noemi?
I'm wondering, should we take a recess before, because it's gonna be a long, no, I'm just kidding. Here we go. No, I do want to say, I just want to, as we go into this, I think it's important to note the amount or the number of projects that have been going on since, it's been almost 2 years. And just the diligence and the work that's gone in. I mean, this is a lot of coordination. So I'm just putting that out there as we go through this process, just to, thank the team. I know Tony's there from having done the whole technology infrastructure project, and obviously Cherie and Noemi for their leadership on this. So just wanted to point that out as we go through this presentation. It's quite heavy. And Greg, yeah, your team. Yeah.
and Celeste,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I want to make sure.
You want to name
Give them a
everybody
shout.
just yet?
Extend.
Yeah, I know. They're doing great. Everybody's doing awesome.
Sorry. He wants me to do all of it in 10 minutes. I'll try. Good evening, board members. Pleasure to be back to provide bond program update number 15. As Blake indicated, we have a lot of projects. We're very excited to share some of the progress of our current and upcoming projects. So I'll start with some individual project updates and then I'll close with some general updates for your information. So I'll jump right in. The first project is the Holly Glen Elementary School TK conversion project, which broke ground on January 6th of this year. And it is moving very fast. It's the same contractor that we use for the Del Air TK conversion project, are dependable. We are on track. As you can see, the drawing on the upper right-hand side reflects, I'm sorry, thank you. Reflects the scope of work for this project. We're repurposing 6 classrooms to create 4 adequately sized TK. As you can see, we've excluded a portion of this building. This is the area that we spoke about, I believe, at the last board meeting. Was a workroom that was not ever part of it. It's undersized. We couldn't convert it because of the spaces right here, which has a fire riser to the right. It has the electrical room and electrical room. So we can't use that space. Nonetheless, in walking with the principal asked if we could consider at least giving it a refresh as well. Maybe not a full modernization like we are with the rest of the building, but perhaps just, replacing the ceiling tiles, changing the flooring, removing the cabinets. It was previously used as a workroom / kitchen. As you can see, there's some appliances there. We have requested the quote. The change order came in at $36,190. It's a fair price considering it'll be a complete refresh. We're going to paint the tack board, so it'll look basically brand new, and it'll tie in nicely with the rest of the building. It's still within our contingency, so we would like to move forward with that. Okay. The project is on track, like I said, for a summer completion, which we're tracking to be substantially complete August 9th and final completion in September. That's closeout punch list item at that point. As you can see, demolition has been completed. They are already framing back the new walls, as well as doing all the rough mechanical, electrical, plumbing. They're starting to frame around the skylights. They're going to be doing a sewer patchback now that they're running the sewer line to the new restrooms right here. They started putting insulation, and these pictures actually are already old. We took them at the end of last week, but just this week alone, they're already hanging drywall on one side of these walls. So moving fairly quickly from week to week.
When can we move in?
We can move in August. So the plan is to be ready.
Final, not
Correct. After substantial. We can move in after substantial. So August 8th
July
is,
9th was substantial.
did I say July 9th?
Oh, the wrong one.
Oh, July 9th. Yes, July 9th is substantial for this project. So we can start moving in furniture for this spaces right after that. And will be final completion August 8th. Thank you for catching that. This also includes the door addition project, the 4 doors that we're cutting across the way in the kindergarten building that cannot start obviously until school is out in in June 13th to be exact, but it'll follow the same substantial and final completion dates. I'm trying to go really fast. See what you do, Blake? And moving on to the next project, district-wide flooring and ceiling tile refresh project. This will be eventually a district-wide project. Right now, we're focusing on the first 2 sites, Aviation Elementary School and Weisberg Middle School. We have previously reviewed at a previous board meeting the scope of work. It's basically removing all ceiling tiles, replacing all flooring. We are not touching any of the restrooms, so anywhere where there's ceramic tile, we're not touching. It's strictly carpet, VCT areas. At Weisberg Middle School, they have a gym, so we plan to replace the sports flooring with the same Omni Sport, the sample that I showed you earlier. As you can see here, I provided also a picture of the proposed logo for the Weisberg Middle School gym. It'll be edged. It doesn't deteriorate. We covered that at the last board meeting. So I think it looks really good. Project delivery for this project, we're using piggyback bid with Kaya. The board has already approved the cost and the contract with Kaya at $2.2 million. That does exclude move management costs. Cherie's meeting with the move management team and with our project manager, Miguel, on site on Monday to start that process. Now we have schedules from Kaya, which I'll go into in the next slide. And actually, let me go back really quick to this one. Just a quick summary of what we're planning to do in terms of timeline, rather than looking at the individual schedule in the next few slides. We're planning to start June 19th. We were initially thinking that we could potentially start the gym a month sooner in May, but we worked with the end users, the site. It's just better to do it midsummer rather than taking it early. So our focus will be classrooms first, admin second, and the last piece will be the Weisberg Middle School gym, which will be completed over the month of August, basically. And we've already cleared those dates with them, and they are good to go. Now, our goal is to be done with all the buildings, interior buildings, classrooms. Well, we're not doing it next year, but all classrooms and admin spaces and lobby areas and hallways, July 31st, with, again, August 31st completion for gym only. Any questions?
Quick question.
Yes.
So in terms of phasing, I'm sorry if I didn't understand or
Mhm.
missed it. The flooring for the gymnasium is gonna happen, what month are we expecting?
August 1st to the 31st.
Is that carved in granite? Because the reason why I'm asking is because we do have to talk about some of the rentals that we have and try to maximize, obviously, time. So is there any flexibility in that month?
There is absolutely flexibility.
Thank you, sorry.
So we were looking at anywhere from, I think, June through October, through September as potential. So whatever works best for the district, we're happy to accommodate. And even if we have to push it to later, we can certainly do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick site plan. All areas highlighted in the dark gray basically represent all of the buildings that will be touched, with the exception of those 3 X's. Those are the restrooms. The portables are on the upper left-hand side. Those will be addressed as well.
Are we doing flooring in the multipurpose room?
We were not, but we decided to do it so that it matches, and they don't, otherwise they have VCT right now, even though it was replaced, I think, almost 10 years ago. Problem is maintenance. You still have to wax, seal every summer, versus with this type of new flooring, we do not have to do that.
In areas like the multi-purpose room where there's a lot of wall, we're gonna put in new flooring, are we at all considering painting at all?
No, not a
No?
part of this project, no. This is strictly ceiling tiles and flooring refresh.
What about the logo? I mean, you have it going into the gym.
Correct. So all sites will have all NPRs across the district. Whenever we get to every site, will have their logo etched into the floor. I just didn't have the sample. They still have to go through the submittal process, and they're currently working on them, but I rushed them to at least give me one sample to be able to show you guys. And just a quick snapshot, this is another thing I rushed them to do, to start putting together a timeline of how we plan to attack each building. So not just the site, but each individual building, so that as Cherie prepares to meet with Move Management, we have a strong plan in place. Obviously, this schedule shows that movers are going to follow as they complete. Every area or every section of building takes anywhere from 5 to 14 days for them to complete from start to finish. So they're proposing that we have movers following them. Our concern with that is obviously cost, because that's having movers there constantly. We might wait a month and then at that point just move everything in. Depending on how we're seeing week to week, then we'll adjust and adapt as needed. We'll keep a close eye, obviously.
Can you advise alert, progressive, what those mean?
It's just a note in their scheduling. For some reason, it's bringing that up. This is a schedule that,
Oh, it's not the provider or anything?
no. It just goes from one section to the other. It's a continuous.
I get the answer. I just didn't know if the
Yeah.
the words.
We don't know what it actually means.
Oh,
it's something I couldn't remove. It was something within their schedule. They couldn't remove the alert or progressive. Really what you need to focus on is on the left, the dates. Again, I was rushing them to get me this information. Weisper Middle School, these are all the buildings that we're gonna be touching. Again, leaving building C, which is the gym, for the end, whatever that timeline ends up being. Same here, we've broken the entire scope of work by building. Which leads us to the next portion of this project, which is the furniture pilot. Previous board meeting, we reviewed the proposed finishes for the pilot. These are the ones here in this picture. We are still on track to install or start with the pilot over spring break. Our goal is to complete the pilot, obviously, at the end of the school year. Surveys will be sent out to the staff before the school year ends so that we have that information and their feedback in advance. We will start working on requesting quotes the month of June with our goal. We're targeting at July 17th to bring those proposals of whatever sites we're going to move forward with for furniture, depending on cost, to the July 17th board meeting for approval and consideration. If we, for some reason, and I want to make sure that's clear, miss this particular July 17th board meeting, then this winter break install gets pushed out because of lead times of obtaining furniture. So I want to be very clear that we're going to do everything within our power to make sure that we meet that, but there is that risk. Any questions before I move on to the next one? Okay, moving on to 135th and Aviation Sports Complex, or maybe we start calling it the Weisper Unified School District Sports Complex. I think it's an opportunity that we presented to the Bond Oversight Committee earlier this week, and they asked if that was going to be the name. Is it going to stay as 135th and Aviation since it's a mouthful? Or are we considering naming it Weisper Unified School District, since right now that's what we're showing on these renderings? So we thought that's a great question. Let us ask.
And no, I mean, I think it was more like they were hoping we weren't going to keep calling it one.
Correct.
Aviation
Correct.
Complex, because-
They like Weisburn Unified School District.
And I think we've referred to it sometimes as the Wiseman Sports Complex. I mean, I think that, we ought to look, I think that's shorter, probably a little cleaner, but we'll have to bring that, I think, as a separate, it's not agendized or anything, but we can certainly bring
Correct.
it to the board.
Mhm.
Sounds
It's gonna become the WSC or something, or the W.
That
I
only.
like the W. That's not to be confused with the hotel.
For the win.
This project, we are bringing an item for your consideration this evening. As you know, we were out to bid. We've been out to bid since November for the lease back guaranteed maximum price. Our goal was to get out on the street early before anyone was out for the summer rush. We were trying to get the best pricing out there and bring the best bidders on board for this particular project. Bids were due February 2nd. Our goal was actually to come to the February board for approval. Bids were technically due a month earlier in January, but because we did not receive DSA approval on time, we had to push the GMP date because we can't award until we have DSA approval. So again, some things are out of our control, but that did not affect or impact our schedule at all. You're going to be reviewing that final guaranteed maximum price agenda item. For the cost that we received was $12.9 million. Just want to remind you that it does not include the Tecate Field in that price. That was previously approved by the board back in December at a cost of $2.9 million. So that procurement is already underway. We are on track to start this project on April 1st if the board approves it. We are very excited to host our groundbreaking ceremony very soon. But I did want to point out some things on the process. We received the GMP process is an open book process. We had several meetings with Erickson Hall to vet the GMP. We received, I believe, 172 bids. And granted, there's a lot of division of work, right? But for the most part, we received anywhere from 8 to 10 bids per division of work. The lowest numbers that we received, which was under 5 were 3, a minimum of 3. So at least we had really good coverage, and it was for smaller scale packages. We vetted those thoroughly. We even looked at potential value engineering because obviously it went a little higher than our overall budget of 17.5. We're looking at 17.9. But I do want to point out that while construction cost is higher, it's actually in line with what we were anticipating. And more importantly, we are saving a ton of money when it comes to soft costs. Typically, the formula is 75-35 or 70-30 for soft cost. In this particular case, I took a quick snapshot of our accounting system versus initial planning. As you can see, soft costs we're tracking at 11%. That's a testament of our team beating our consultants to negotiate their contracts down significantly. We should be at around $4.9 million. So we're saving $2 million in soft costs alone, which is unheard of. So I'm very proud of that. Our team is doing a great job.
Thank you. Tremendous. Question about the GMP
Mhm.
and the potential impact of tariffs and the governmental. Does that include tariffs? Will it
So
impact-
we're carrying 2 contingencies, 3% construction and 3% owner. I think it's like 300 and
So
something.
it's really not a guaranteed maximum price.
For the most part, I'm comfortable because we are carrying close to $700,000 in contingencies. We don't have a whole lot of steel in this building, so that we really are not going to be impacted. It's a lot of site work, a lot of grading. It's the muscolites, which all have been factored into that. And again, these all of these bids are current and they were fully vetted. That means that Erickson Hall met with every single bidder on more than one occasion, and many times they had up to 3 meetings to ensure that they didn't miss anything on the drawings, that everything was captured, that any potential cost increases were captured. So I am confident that we're in a good place. We'll see, assuming we don't encounter something completely out of our control. The good news is we bid early. If we move forward tonight, we award tonight, we have secured pricing, whereas many other districts are not even close. And so we beat the rush for sure.
Appreciate you, and your negotiation's always been appreciated. Obviously, if things dramatically change, please let us know.
And just so you know, we came in higher. It was $13.5 million. So we already off the top removed from the final GMP $500,000, in addition to the $2 million that we have saved in soft costs. So on this project alone is $2.5 million savings. Okay, groundbreaking ceremony. Invite everyone to attend. This is open to the public, March 27th. We're extremely excited to come and see dirt, but see us move it, because it's our official groundbreaking, and can't wait for this project to start.
It's been expected, or we've been looking forward for it for at least 10 years now, so looking forward to it.
And do we want to go ahead with Wiseburn Sports Complex, or that when you look at that now, that 135th, it just looks silly.
You know, just my recommendation would be that we agendize like the change and like actually officially make it a name. I mean, I'm happy that we can go in that direction and get direction to do that. I just think we should probably officially make the change.
We can bring that at the next board meeting for consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Del Air Baseball Field Improvements Project. As you know, we were out to bid with this project as well. It's a design bid build, basically a low bid. The way we structured this particular project is we did a base bid, which was the practice field only size, maintaining its current size of field, basically practice only. And we added an additive alternate to increase the size to a full size, NFHS regulation size field, which is 350 feet. So this particular option here is the practice size field, maintaining its current size plus additional scope of work. The base bid came in at $1,089,000, and that cost came in from Kaya Services. If the district decides, they're the apparent low bidder, if the district decides to move forward with the base bid plus alternate, basically, then the low bidder changes to Corner Keystone Construction at a cost of $1.277. If the direction is to move forward, then we would bring that for formal approval at the next board meeting.
I mean, what's the additive alternate again?
Making it a full size, an FHS regulation size field
Oh, versus just practice.
versus just
Oh.
practice.
And I mean, you're saying basically CIF.
And have we vetted that? I know we were having conversation with Da Vinci folks. Have we,
I'll let
you wanna-
Blake speak to that.
like for the full-size field, there was concerns about encroachment into the Connect facility.
Oh,
Where are we on that?
So I would say that, talk to Vicente, he indicated that every piece of what was being moved, that every piece could or either has been addressed or would be addressed. I
It's
don't
right
have
here.
all the
Yeah,
details.
sorry, I thought you were gonna ask about funding. That's why I pointed to Blake. But regarding the items, as you can see, as part of the additive alternate, that was also included. Moving, relocating 10 shade trees and planters, 18 picnic tables. The additive alternate already accounted for all of that. So we move forward with this option at 1.2, Corner Keystone, again, would be our low bidder. And
No, I mean, when were the bid received and then how long are they good for?
they're good for 90 days, and they were received on February 13th. Yeah, as you can see here,
We do have a meeting on March 26th.
27th or
March
26th.
27th.
No, the 2x2
We have
meeting.
a 2x2 meeting.
Oh, I see.
With Da Vinci, and we'll be meeting with Joe Weber, the president of the Da Vinci Board, and Ray Santiago, the vice president. We'll be discussing the project then, in the subcommittee, to share the results. The 26th.
We'll try to
March
move this.
26th. We can get sooner to connect, connect to speak about this.
So for less than 200,000
Mhm.
are boys baseball teams. So it's freshmen, junior, JV, and the varsity would finally have a home field that they can play. You're right, yes.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, from my perspective, it doesn't make any sense to not do the ad alternate.
And we addressed all of their concerns in terms of making sure that every program was accounted for. There might be a couple of items like the garden, maybe not, it's not the same size that they have now, but they have areas on site that we can adjust as we go. We are carrying an allowance as well here, so if we need to make some adjustments, we could certainly do that.
I just want to say what's misleading is the blue fence line. So you could see it's like the blue with the little circles around it that are sort of identifying the foul, or I'm sorry, the home run fence.
Ugh.
That's a retractable fence.
Yes,
So,
that blue line, oh gosh, I'm trying to do that. It's a temporary movable fence.
So I think that the conversation with Vicente and even with one of the security personnel, one of the safety folks at Da Vinci was that would just be removed in the morning. So it's really almost from the lunch area there where you see up there to the north into the field would actually be open, as an open play area during the
So
day.
this whole area here, the brown area represents the decomposed granite area that you can see some of these are represent the shade trees, the picnic tables, both rectangular and circular. It also represents the Gaga pit. So and there's still a lot of space there. That's what I mean. We've accounted for every piece of equipment, and there's still plenty of room to adjust if need be. Plus, like Blake said, if we move the movable fence, they have all of that grass space that is leveled and beautiful and green.
Great. Sounds like it's a win-win situation all around, and we addressed some of the concerns that Connect had. And at the same time, our kids now have a home field. So I think this is excellent.
And if we move forward,
Let's not forget the baseball team right now has to, I believe Da Vinci is paying to utilize fields elsewhere, from my recollection. So.
if we move forward, our planned construction start would be June 16th, after school is out to accommodate the Da Vinci Connect school with a substantial completion of August 9th. But that doesn't mean that they can start using it. There is a 90-day maintenance period through November 7th that we have to protect the fields to ensure that it establishes.
It's just the
I
question
think
I
we're
would
looking
have.
at April, maybe this would come before us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that,
The acceptance of bid, I mean, obviously, there's still some conversations, but
Yeah.
it sounds like April.
yeah, I mean, ideally it would be next meeting, but obviously I think that there's some.
If there's a desire to move forward, we need to issue a notice of intent to award to all of the bidders because we haven't done that yet and they're waiting. That way, it can start the protest period.
Would that be in April? Do you anticipate it would be April? Because they have a meeting, they have a 2x2 in
Well, but-
March, right?
Yeah, but the decisioning, I would imagine, needs a board meeting. When's the next Da Vinci board meeting?
Well, this dimension.
They would need to,
Is
they need to agendize it as well.
Right.
that's a question I was gonna have. Is there an action? Would Da Vinci have to have a board meeting for this as well, or is it just a place for an action?
It would have to, well, so it would have to be an action item for Da Vinci for the financial side of it.
Right.
And then we would have to approve it financially and the facilities, the actual upgrade to the facilities, taking on the contract, managing the contract. And then will be some sort of financial reconciliation at the end of it. Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking at this timeline. I'm not seeing, I think you said, sorry,
90 days from February.
I just brought it back up there.
yeah. I mean, I think that you had mentioned maybe bringing this to board. I'm trying to find that. I thought I saw that. Anyway, but nonetheless, we have until May.
We want to do it sooner,
Yeah.
so, okay.
Yeah.
There is like, I gotta execute contracts and stuff like that. So
Right.
Well,
Probably.
as soon as you guys talk to Da Vinci and feel like you're in a good place, then we could at a minimum start the intent to award process so that we can start the clock for any protest.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to the next project, the solar battery storage and EV charging station projects. As you can see, we have completed all of the solar carports. That has been completed. We're now still at the mercy of SCE. We have received permission to operate for Holly Glen Elementary School only. We have received confirmation from SCE that they have received all documents. Everything looks good. Right now, they're just doing the net energy metering review, which is the last piece before we start getting some of these projects completed and receive PTO so we can finally flip the switch. There was before I move on to the EV and charging station, I want to make sure I cover the solar portion. As you know, it's two separate projects. We have been working with SciLogic, inquiring more and more about the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA funding. I know you
Got
were.
my attention.
Yes. I wanted to point out, I don't know if you can read it from here, but the 2025 pre-filing registration period is not open. I try to go in and start applying. So we cannot start application until we have received the SCE approval, permission to operate. That's one of the documents that they require, plus a lot of other things, but that's just one piece that is critical. Otherwise, our application is kicked out. I did not want to wait on, and I do not want to wait until we have PTO for all sites to start submitting. So as PTO starts coming in, we will start working on the application process. At least that was my intent. I logged in, I was getting ready to start, and then I saw that message. So they're still taking, as you can see, for 23-24. They're behind. So even, and this is the IRS. And as you know, they recently laid off, I don't know, like 60,000 employees. So who knows how quickly the 2025 window for starting to submit applications will open. I have it on my calendar to check on a weekly basis, and I will continue to do that. I just wanted to bring it up to your attention. Right now, or actually when we met with SciLogic early on, one of the concerns was, is there a risk with the new administration coming in and potentially ending the program? One of the things that they were able to find out in talking to lobbyists and some of their contacts is that the IRA was in place under the first administration when Trump was in office, and he didn't end it there. And in the current executive order, or the one that he recently released, he covered potentially doing away with wind and EV charging stations, but no mention of solar. So solar is still protected. Things tend to change constantly, but as of today, we're still good. And apparently 21 letters from Republicans was sent to this, the president, letting them know that they are in favor of maintaining this program because it affects many of their their constituents, exactly,
Like
thank
To
you.
get reelected, basically.
And refresh my memory, what's the dollar amount that we're looking at?
$3.2 million, I believe, 3 point something. Mhm. But that's for all 4 sites, obviously. And the way reimbursement works is assuming we submit sometime this year, it normally takes about, again, trying to inquire everything about IRA as much as I could find out. They used to take 6 months to review. Now, not sure, it might take maybe longer or a year. And then reimbursement itself comes at the next tax cycle. So even if we apply in 25, we wouldn't get reimbursed until the next tax cycle in 26. So who knows when we'll see it.
This money is going to pay down the loan. It's going directly
Absolutely,
down the
we need it. We're counting on it.
Yeah, absolutely. We calculated in the whole project.
That's the concern, yeah.
And then moving on to the second portion of the work, which is the battery storage and EV charging stations. All batteries except that one site have been installed. They're all in place. The only one that has not been installed is Del Air, because we're waiting on SCE on some confirmations. EV charging stations, as you can see, they're here. I've added some pictures. This is Weisberg Middle School as an example. The next slide, we have Del Air Elementary School. As you can see here, carports look great. Our parking lots have suffered during the construction. They're not in the best of shape. As you can see, there's a lot of areas where the asphalt has cracked. I'll go back really quick to this particular site, Weisberg Middle School. It looks really rough. I think Aviation probably looks the worst. This is Aviation Elementary School. Striping is completely faded in some areas. You can't see it. So I've been going back and forth with SiteLogic. They were presenting a change order. We're carrying an allowance as part of this project. It was intended for ADA work, anything that would be triggered, and anything left over, our goal was to address striping at a minimum. Based on the condition of the parking lots and considering that they had a lot of heavy equipment throughout, granted, these were not in the best of shape to start, but construction only made them worse. So I have been pushing for them to cover the cost of the striping, which is around $86,000 or $88,000. And then we would cover the slurry coat and seal, which is higher than that. I think it's like $140 something thousand. Final numbers are still coming. Right now it's just the ROM. I received a call late last night that they have that I have their commitment to cover the striping. I told them that Blake is extremely unhappy with the condition and that he will not take no for an answer. Sorry, I used you.
It's true.
It's true. So they are committed to paying for the striping. We'll pay for the slurry coat seal.
And we have the money to do the slurry in our.
That is to be determined. It is a cost outside that we had not anticipated. It's not going to be able to be covered with our contingency because our contingency was for ADA and it is covering ADA. So.
Sean, you may not know this. There was a plan to do seal coats typically every 5 years. So perhaps we could find something in deferred maintenance and perhaps accelerate it or something, but we can kind of bring that to the facilities committee, but we can see kind of where we land, but we have a plan to do them kind of every 5 years to protect the asphalt, so.
Part of deferred maintenance.
That plan a little bit.
Yes.
Right. Maybe we
Yes.
should revisit that.
Well, but if we can get contribution of, $80-something thousand, that's definitely helpful.
Yes.
It's not all at once.
Correct.
So.
Right.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
Okay, moving on, additional pictures just for your reference. Keep going, come on. Next project is the district-wide marquees and signage project. We have been working, we brought in 3 different companies to give us proposals. Unfortunately, because of the prices how the quotes are coming in, it's either a formal bid, not informal, a formal bid, or we look into potentially using another delivery method like piggyback in this case, or a CMAS. There's no CMAS, but we were able to find a piggyback with Kaya, who's already going to be working with us on the flooring and ceiling tile refresh project. They came in, they provided some quotes. I'll be sharing those with you. These are just got these numbers, I think like at 5:30 when I sent the last presentation too. Tony. So I apologize if you didn't get these slides in your original documents. But we're looking at replacing basically all of the school names with the old school names with obviously the new, with similar letters, similar font, as well as marquees. We have some options. We have a mixture of tall marquees. We have some marquees like at Del Air we have one that's wall mounted. We have a monument as well, not a marquee, but a sign that has the former school name. So it obviously starts adding to the cost because every site has a number of signs that have to be replaced. In terms of the marquees, as you can see, here's some options of what it'll look like. We have some options. We can replace just the top of basically the display, not the display, but the sign on the top. We can keep it simple if, because of cost, and just change the name. Or we can go as far as using this opportunity to change the name and changing the display as well. There's Del Air, Weisberg Middle School, a sample of what it'll look like once we're done with the project. Here are the costs. So as you can see, we have, for the marquee replacement, we have basically two options. ID panels only, just the name on the top, or ID panels plus LED screens. And with only one site, being Del Air, potentially, they're recommending that we replace the cabinet just because it's not the overall cabinet. So the entire thing, so the cost would be all across. It would be ID, LED, and cabinet. Now it's our opinion, at least from Miguel and Greg, that we could potentially just sand and paint the cabinet to save the cost. So that $26,000, we might be able to. We could just go back with a marine grade paint, and I'm sure we can make it look a heck of a lot better than it is now.
Just to clarify, the first column is just the IDs, and the second column is an additive of the IDs plus the ID.
Plus the screen, the
middle-
display.
So is it 60,000 for, let's say, I'm looking still at Del Air. So is it 62, whatever, almost 63,000?
No. So if you look, for example, let's look at aviation.
Yeah.
If you want to keep the existing LED screen, we just do the ID panel, just change the name, and you're only spending $9,800, and that's it, nothing else. If you want to do the display plus the LED screen, then the $9,000 goes away, and it's the $67,000
Something about adding across. So
for the cabinet. For the cabinet.
Got it.
You're not adding.
Yeah.
Is it a new LED screen that we're providing? So it would be a new LED screen.
Correct.
So,
So that's the cost for a new LED screen, which is higher, as you know.
yeah, obviously, so. What kind of shape situation are they in? Because right now,
They're operable, but they're not the newest technology. They simply gave it, we didn't ask for that, but they provided that as an option. We said changing the names, but they said if the district wants to pursue this as an opportunity to give it a full refresh, this is the price. We don't have to do that. We can just change the names and leave the existing displays without any problem.
so right now, I just want to understand, so right now, the current LED screens, I know they're outdated, but
But they're operable.
they operate, right?
Correct, they're operable. Yeah, they're all operable. And then we also have the signage replacement. This is the building signage. Anywhere we have the names of the school throughout the entire campuses, these are the costs by site. Aviation, believe it or not, does not have any building signage other than the NPR. That's it. So that's why there's a zero cost involved for this particular site. So if the desire is to go with just the ID panels and the building signage, you're looking at $142,000 across all sites, including the district office.
So, just a quick clarification. So what I'm hearing is a recommendation is to do everything. I'm kidding.
I'm not recommending.
No, I think my question, I think the concern here is a financial concern for us.
Yes.
Because primarily we're not using bond funds for this. So this is a district deferred maintenance, routine maintenance, or probably deferred maintenance project. The 142.5, just speaking off the top of my head, seems a lot more palatable at this moment. So I would just encourage the board to consider that. I mean, we'll obviously have to bring this back as a as an action item. The
Right.
one question I do have about this though is, should we do this, you know, the panels, I guess, the 142,000, right? And do just the panels only is, with the signage, is there like, what if we decide to do the marquee later? Is it flipping the signage to sign? I mean, is it an easy plug and play?
It's plug and play.
So you could remove the new
Mhm.
ID panel and put it in a new
Mhm.
system anyway down the road?
You can certainly do that down the road.
Like a better path forward, of course.
It might be slightly higher cost just because inflation and escalation,
Sure.
but
Okay.
this is the price now if we decide to move forward. And again, this does include the district office. So anywhere we have the logos, including the lit sign right off of Douglas Street.
If anybody's aware of any of the signs that are in dire distress, they're not working. And then we don't have to do every one of these. If there's one of them that's
Right.
problematic.
They're currently
We're-
all operational.
We're talking about the actually LED screens, is that what you're speaking? Yeah, and they're still serviceable too, so if something does go off, I mean, it's a matter of just getting somebody
Yeah,
to service
thank you.
it. I think it's better to just hold tight on this and move on.
We can cross that bridge when we need
Thank
to.
you.
Okay.
But we'll have to bring that back as an item, Noemi, at one point.
Sean, it sounds like deferred maintenance is healthy.
For maintenance is, but then we also do have the option of our state matching funds in Fund 35 as well. So we do have a balance there that, you know, can be utilized to kind of augment some of these types of expenditures.
Sure, we have sufficient to cover the ID panels if we exclude the deferred.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have, yeah. Just for the 142,000 is a much more palatable number for us to take out of
But is there a
deferred.
particular logic in using the matching funds that we couldn't use? Does one have just stipulations that limits their use that we may not want to touch the deferred maintenance because that's usable for something else? I just would want advisory on that.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to bring that back. This is actually fresh off the press.
It is.
That's great.
As of 5:30, I was making changes last minute. At,
You gotta make this happen this summer.
It's this summer. It's a this summer
Yes.
project. Yeah.
and by going piggyback makes that a lot easier for us. So we can certainly bring it to the next board meeting for consideration and then we'll run with it there. Because obviously they'll have to manufacture all of the letters and signs. Okay, last slide. I'm trying to be as fast as possible. General updates. I wanted to bring to your attention, although we are done with the Weisborn Da Vinci soccer field project, we did with the last recent rain events that we had. Miguel was actually walking the site and noticed a good section of space with noticeable depressions on the field. You can't see it, but you can feel it. So he went and got Vicente. They all started walking. They're like, yes, you can definitely feel it. We have brought it to Byron Davies' attention. The contractor, fortunately, we were not fully closed down with their contract yet. And they are scheduled to come on March 24th. We have a commitment that they'll be here. They're going to cut and remove a 60 by 40 section of the turf, peel it back. The civil engineer and the architect are also committed to being here that day to investigate what's causing. Is it a drainage issue? Is it an installation issue? What is the issue? So we can fix it and ensure that it doesn't continue to happen. Just wanted to bring that to your,
Rain either, so that's
right.
good to catch.
Right. So it's being addressed. That's all I wanted to say in case, you happened to go by or heard that what's happening to the field, you guys are cutting it back. Da Vinci Cafe, we have submitted our plans to DSA. We're very close to receiving DSA approval. There's an appointment on March 21st for the DSA back check. We're hoping to get sign off at that meeting. Da Vinci Kitchen remodel, also very close to being completed. We are 100% construction documents complete. Drawings were submitted or are actually scheduled to be submitted to the health department on April 7th. And we submitted our plans for this project to DSA on February 28th. I have asked PBK to provide a 100% construction documents cost estimate so that I can bring that back to the board, and that essentially concludes our assistance with that project. The board's direction was take it through final phase, bring us a cost, and then we'll make a determination at that time. So
I assume
it's-
those are 2x2 discussions.
SLC relocation project, DSA submittal happened this week. We tried to do it 6 weeks ago, but DSA would not accept our submittal. They kicked us out of intake, even though PBK fought hard to stay on. Because that site has not been touched in several years, there's a lot of areas of uncertified little scope of work that they were trying to keep this as an isolated project as much as possible, because we're saying it's a school within a school. It's outside. It's going to be fenced. It's going to be isolated, completely different grade level, completely different program. But I mean, you guys know GSA. They just would not have it. They only give you like 3 days to address. And if you don't address and find those documents from those projects from like 30 years ago, then they kicked us out. So now we're having to add those projects and certifying them under this project. We have 3. So we're going to continue to argue the extent of it, just because obviously cost is a factor. And if I have to get involved with Doug Humphrey, I will, the DSA head. My only thing is I did not want to get kicked out of DSA. I need the clock to start. I need the review to start now, and then we can fight later, because this is supposed to be a summer 2025. I need those buildings to start moving June, because they're in the footprint of the Weisburn Sports Complex. So I need to make sure that this keeps moving. It has, this small, tiny little portable project has also triggered Green Building Code, which it adds EV charging stations, bike racks, landscaping. They want us to landscape the parking lot. I'm like, come on, come on.
Precautionary, is there an alternate site that we can use or lease? Because that building's coming down, that sport complex is going in. I mean, I think if you could take a look at that, what an alternative would be for that program. And I wouldn't want this to delay necessarily the project. I mean, we have it on the agenda today, but then our groundbreaking on the 26th.
Right. So we can certainly start looking at potential options.
It's not delaying the sports complex, it's delaying the SLC implementation.
But eventually it will delay because we need to start grading underground utilities in the entire site. They're gonna start on the what is it, the 135th site or the 135th site. They're gonna start there and move towards the aviation side. But construction moves, at least that portion of it moves quickly, so.
Take months for DSA to resolve this issue.
that's
The
gonna-
uncertified DSA
Right.
projects will probably trigger other projects to repair.
Or we have to commit to closing them. We just won't be able to close this project, which is a risk I think we would want to take. We won't be able to close this project until we close all of the other uncertified, but at least it will guarantee that we have approval to move forward.
We might.
So there are, I mean, we're exploring all options at this
We may
point.
need to look at a backup option though, because
That's a good idea.
this
We can
is-
certainly
this is
start.
just 3
exploring.
uncertified. What I'm worried about is what it's gonna trigger. And that could be significant. So.
Happens fast with
Well, like I said, I already used my lifeline with, I mean, they can attest to that. We don't, it's a no-no to call Doug unless you absolutely have to, because you don't want to go around their reviewers. And I already did that for this district, and he remembers. So I want to make sure that I'm very cautious. But I am prepared to do that again if it has to. And in this case, I think we would actually need a meeting to show him and help him understand and show him financials, whatever it takes.
So not to put you in that situation, have Blake call.
That's what Sal called. I have no problem calling that.
Still the same district, though.
So my question, so we're talking about looking for another location for SLC, like an interim housing type location? Is that what we're saying? Oh,
Yes.
goodness.
Okay, last 2 projects, door access controls. This is a district-wide, as you know, all 4 sites. Drawings were submitted to DSA on February 18th for Holly Glen, Aviation, and Weisburn Middle School. Delaire was excluded because that was part of the modernization drawings that were already with DSA. So, and that scope is already built into the modernization, which will unfortunately present a whole other set of problems because it's tied to a large A number with a lot of scope, meaning all of the full modernization that we were doing. And if we're only moving forward with the door access controls, it's going to trigger us having to descope some of it. with DSA after the fact. But right now, the first step is to obtain approvals so that we can start scheduling some of these sites. We have a meeting with NWN and with PBK on Monday to start figuring out how we plan to attack this project, because it's two-part. NWN has all of the door access controls component, all of the hardware and installation, but there's the ADA component that's included per DSA requirements. So we're gonna have to put this project out to bid for those areas of work, unless NWN can somehow do it, but it has yet to be determined. We have to figure that out. That's why we're gonna meet with them next week.
No, Noemi,
Yes.
when I saw this slide earlier, earlier in the week, the question I had is the 3/8/25, right? Is when we're expected comments back from DSA.
Yes.
Right? But it's not saying like expected date of completion. Is there any sort of expected date of completion?
No, and here's why. I think it's extremely aggressive to do all 4 sites this summer, especially because we're gonna have large crews at Aviation and Weisberg Middle School as part of the floor refresh project. We've moved essentially all of our programs, summer school programs, to Del Air. So that's already another impacted site that we would have to work with NWN after hours to do that work. There's a lot of questions that I have, but that's why I called a meeting so that I could start planning. So I don't have all the answers, unfortunately, and I that's why it's not an individual slide with all of the project updates, is because it's coming.
You know, I'm gonna
It's
say,
coming.
we want to get it done during the summer.
I know.
I know.
But I need them to commit to that, and I don't know that they're going to be able to commit to that. So that is a huge risk, because if we start removing hardware, there's no way to safely secure the sites. So my goal is to not push it off to next summer, because I know of other districts that do it during the school year. They just have an after-hours shift. You do pay a prime for that, so that's always things to consider. I just need to get a better understanding of how much time they need per door. And unfortunately, it's not just a simple, quick replace door, hardware in some cases, because ADA has now triggered, okay, well, now you have to add panic hardware. So some of that panic hardware is now potentially a low bidder, and then the front hardware, the door access controls, is NWN. So it gets tricky. I need to sit down and get all of that squared away. Any other questions on that? Last, Project Holly Glen TK Playground and Shade Structure on track to start June 2025, currently in DSA for review, both of these projects. We started receiving comments. Comments are being addressed, so we anticipate we'll be receiving approval by the end of this month. We are starting the bidding process for that portion of the work as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you for juggling so many balls.
It's not me, it's everybody.
And it's-
Yeah, it's the entire team. Yes, you're very welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Noemi. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next segment of our board meeting with board member updates and reports. We're gonna go ahead and start on my right-hand side here with Nelson.
Thank you, Roger. I have no items today.
Michelle?
I feel like I've missed a lot, so thank you for your patience, board, just happy to be back.
Neil?
I think most of my comments I was going to make have already made. I just have an ongoing request for gym fees for Sean, just if we can get a recap on that.
Not going to bring that to the,
I think, so we talked, Neil, and I think that one of the things we wanted to bring it to the budget committee first. So I think we're planning a budget committee for
Just
March,
fun with
early
that.
April. Yeah, we're gonna bring it to the board, and we're doing that as well as, I had looked at my notes and we talked about utilities fees. I know you wanted us to track utilities fees. So we thought it would be best to start at the committee level, at the working group level, and then we could just bring it back to the board. So it'll be at the next one. We're just working on schedule. That's all.
And then part of that equation was the challenge of just all facilities rentals and some of our nonprofit partners and being of service to them. That Joe and I were talking about, we've lost some partners that thought they've had to pay full bill, and we've had a discount thing, and we've lost them and lost goodwill in the process.
Correct.
You know what I'm
Correct,
talking
yes.
We're talking about Haven, basically. We're
Yeah.
talking about Haven.
Haven
Yeah.
is one, Haven is one, there's
Haven is
another
one.
one.
Yeah.
Even Holly Glen Association, I think was another one. Homeowners Association.
That was so there were some things that were mistakes in the system. So Holly Glen, any of our neighborhood associations we've taken care of.
Just want to make
Neighborhood,
sure that's part of our
yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Thank you.
also want to do a shout out to Greece that Da Vinci put on, and what a joy that was. I know Rebecca Milling, Roger was there, and we got to see the musical put on by the high school, which was, I'm looking at you, Christina, because it was just, thank you for coordinating our being there. And it was just super fun to see and a great time and so much learning and connection and experience for these kids. It was great. So just great to see that. Great to be a part of that. Proud to see you doing that. Thank you. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Neil. Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just second Neil's shout out to the performing arts program at the Da Vinci High Schools. It was a really wonderful night to experience the musical as a former theater kid myself. Get to hear Neil sing.
Neil, would you like to sing again?
But thank you, Christina, also for organizing the board social beforehand, because it was a really nice opportunity to meet not only the Ed Foundation, our Ed Foundation folks, but the Da Vinci Schools Fund people, as well as our fellow board members on the Da Vinci side. So, and administrators and all of that. So it was a great evening. A late one. I forgot how late long musicals are. I love them so much. It was long. But then I also, so that was great. Last week, our last board meeting, I mentioned at the last meeting that they were handing out red cards. I know that we have some red cards in the district. So just, I know Monique wasn't here last time. If you could just give us an update on where and how these are being distributed within the district, I would appreciate that. These are to help folks assert and defend their rights if they are encountering federal immigration agents. We know that that has become an issue. I also just want to say that I know all of us in the district, care very much about our families, and I'm concerned about the cuts that are happening in Washington and the impact that it will have on our district. I looked at a calculator that someone had shared with me, and I think if there's a 50% cut in IDEA funding federally, it'll be over $700 million that the state of California itself will lose from the funding, which I'm sure will redound to our district in huge ways. And as you know, I have a student with special needs. I have, and so I'm particularly concerned about the fact that our current Secretary of Education has no idea what IDEA stands for. And so I appreciate very much everything that we're trying to do to keep our families and students safe. We are only one district with limited funds. So that's it.
Thank you, Rebecca. I also wanted to just say thank you to Christina and to Allison for setting up the board social for the prior to the event for the theater production of Grease. What a wonderful event and evening and night. A great time to also talk to our colleagues at Da Vinci and a lot of our other supporters as well. But wow, what a performance by the students and staff. For those that don't know, there was some staff involved there. And I will say Carla Levinson was in the musical. So those that don't know, please talk to her. It was absolutely wonderful. I was surprised to see her, but what a great production. And wanted to say thank you for everybody involved, because it is so nice to be able to see that articulation from our students, to know that if they're in a musical or in performing arts within the Wiseburn and our K-8 and Connect, as they continue to move within grade levels, that there is an opportunity for them to continue expressing their emotions, their feelings, their talents through the performing arts at the high school level. And really a wonderful production. This, if you haven't seen it, this is not a small time production. It is absolutely fantastic, even filled with an orchestra. So it is really nice. I encourage everybody that if you haven't had an opportunity to see it, buy your tickets for next year, because it's already sold out. But thank you, everybody that supported it. It's absolutely wonderful. So, okay. Sure, Neil.
And one thing I forgot to mention, just looking at just a heads up to the rest of the board, and I'm concerned with what's happening in Washington relative to us, is if the Department of Education is cut, and all the potential cuts, according to research by the New York Times, The Guardian, and Axios, it could result in from $3 to $6 million cut to Weisberg. That can be 10 to 15%. To put that in perspective, and I'm not trying to be a freak us all out, but 85% of our dollars are people. So every other penny beyond that could be at risk. This is very scary. Just want to keep a heads up. Call your congressman, call your senator. This could be devastating to everything we've talked about here. So hopefully this is all just scare and won't happen, but it's very scary for us. Very scary.
Thank you, Neil. Next, we'll turn to the district leadership reports, and I'll turn that over to you, Blake.
Yes, so WeTip is up and running. The resource that we have for students, community members, staff to be able to report confidentially and anonymously if they choose about any potential threats or negative experiences that they have. So threats about safety to campus or other students, threats related to self-harm or mental health, bullying, instances of harassment. Folks are always welcome, of course, to tell an adult on campus or to talk to their family members, but now we have a way where people can share those experiences or those concerns through this system. And as we've discussed before, someone is constantly monitoring those notifications and those entries 24 hours a day. So anything that is very serious, very urgent, administrators will be notified so that we can address it, or in certain situations, dispatch HPD or the sheriffs might be notified if we're not able to respond. And red cards, yes, we have plenty of red cards that we can distribute to our campuses. As I've mentioned before, we're having continuous training with our staff members, making sure that they're prepared, they know what to expect, and they're informed, and that we're continuing to inform them as we receive new information. And so we do have an upcoming training where they'll learn about red cards, how to distribute them, and also some additional materials that we've received. For example, like examples of warrants. So if someone comes to campus and they are requesting to have access to students, there are some forms that seem like they're legitimate, but they're actually not. And so that's what we've been learning about in some of our trainings. And so we want to make sure we pass that information down to staff. And so that's upcoming in our next training, and red cards will be available after that at our campuses.
Thank you. Sean?
I will go ahead and heed my time to my second interim budget.
Thank you,
Nothing for me.
Very good. Kim? No?
Yeah, okay. Just a couple items for me. It's been, no, she's gonna defer to 10.1.
Oh, okay, great.
Sorry. Should have started with that. Couple items that I have. Had an opportunity to attend Aviation's open house. I was gonna say back to school, but we're not. We're open housing. Just a really nice opportunity to see. What was cool about it, it was just set up in a way where you kind of got to go through the kids' day. Where, you know, stations, I guess, if for lack of a better term, were set up, and parents got to go through stations, and it was kind of on the piggyback of the Winterim event that happened at the middle school prior to that. So timing was, we're still kind of validating whether that timing worked or not, you know, in terms of what month are we in? So there's a February, March, timeline, because the other two are in May. So I know there was some question, I think May. I'm going to say May and hope I'm right. Nonetheless, it was just a really, really nice event. It was packed and it was raining. But it was certainly packed and just really exciting to be a part of that. Just very excited. I know I was going to talk about it during Noemi's presentation, but really, really excited about the furniture pilot that's getting underway. If you recall, kind of the industry standard, at least for a district our size, is about 4 classrooms. Spreading them out, we're doing 6. It was important to get that range, and really happy to know that Melissa Craig kindergarten teacher at Holly Glen has offered to be the pilot for the kinder room. And so that'll be a nice, rather than us putting, furniture in an empty room, it just gives us an opportunity to use it and utilize it. That's kind of fresh off the press. So just really excited about that so we can gather the feedback for our youngest learners as we move forward with this process. Also have an opportunity tomorrow I'm part of an organization, it's the North-South Superintendent Group, 25 superintendents in Southern California are meeting in Carlsbad. We're going to get an update on the budget and also some of the policies that are happening at the state and federal level from the AXA executive director. So excited for that. Also, we'll get a budget update and be able to talk about AI is on the docket as well. So kind of looking at AI, which sort of piggybacks off of which my last point was having an opportunity to join the team for the mini workshop, the mini conference. I don't know why we called it mini, because it was for Wiseburn, it wasn't super mini. I mean, I thought it was a really nice opportunity for choice in a professional learning capacity. And one of the presenters was an AI presenter and presented some of the tools that are available to teachers. Really, I know I had a conversation, I think, with Neil or somebody earlier today about just the open source of ChatGPT. Well, the idea was to not use that, right? And what other tools are out there in the AI space that are safe and that are meant for kids. And there's lots. And it's kind of a nice tool to be able to use if you can, so thought that was really cool. Just Maggie's not here today, but just want my hats off to her for that planning. I mean, that's a heavy lift, something like that, and just a really nice opportunity for us to get together and do that. I think that's all I have today. I'll defer to Sean too for the second interim report.
Okay, thank you, Blake. For those following online, we are in item 8. And it's comments from the public. Wendy, do we have any comments from the public on agenda items? Thank you. Moving on to item 9, consent. Is there a motion for item 9.1?
Yeah, motion.
Nelson, a second?
Again.
Michelle, any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next is action items. We're on action item 10.1. First item is to receive CSEA Chapter 486 initial proposal for the 2024-25 negotiations. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion.
Second.
Thank you. Motion from Neil and second from Rebecca. Any questions, comments?
I just wanted to comment, approval is for the initial proposal from our CSEA chapter, and we are very fortunate with the collaborative approach and just working together with CSEA. So we are looking forward to the negotiation session.
Excellent. Any questions, comments from the board? No? Okay, thank you, Nisha. That's hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 10.2, district response to initial proposal for 24-25 negotiations from CSEA, chapter 486. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion.
Motion from Nelson, a second?
Second.
2 seconds, excellent. Michelle?
You have a third, right?
Any comments on 10.2? No. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Great. Item 10.3, ratify English language learner master plan for 24-25. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions from the board or presentation?
I just wanted to reiterate my request from the last meeting that we have as we're looking at the implementation of the math proposal, that we've included, that we get some data on how English language learners are, whether there's been any feedback from our EL families about the materials, or from our school sites about the need for further supplementation, that sort of thing.
What's Eureka Squared being understood, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that's right, you heard, right?
Yeah, at the LAXTA meeting, it seemed like there was a concern, not necessarily about Eureka Math Squared, but in general during adoption processes to make sure that the English learners were integrated in the process.
Excellent. Thank you, Rebecca. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving to section 11 for facilities. First item is 11.1, contract amendment number 1 for leaseback RFQP number 2024-14 for 135th and Aviation Sports Complex with Erickson Hall Construction Company. Is there a motion?
It's not every day you get to move something that's gotten less expensive. So moved
I'd like the second.
with appreciation.
Any comments or questions?
I have one comment. I was sorry, I should have brought this up in my comments, but you know, because the groundbreaking is on March 27th, and we also have a board meeting March 27th, I was planning to bring the name change, potential naming. I'm just wondering if we can have direction or thumbs up from the board just to start using the Wiseburn Sports Complex. And we will bring it back formally, but we are gonna have to prepare some materials for that event. I don't wanna, unless there's concern for that, we'd like to move. Wiseburn, correct. Wiseburn Sports
You need me to
Complex.
change my second to Wiseburn Sports Complex?
No. We can just call it an AKA.
Yeah, I like it.
I think we have board consensus for Wiseburn Sports Complex, and then if you could just bring that back for a formal.
Sure. Of course.
Great, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Fantastic. Item 11.2, contract amendment number 1 for district solar EV charging stations and battery storage systems project. This is for our inspector of record IOR with Pringle Group. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion.
Second.
Second, Rebecca.
Question.
Question, Neil, please.
Why? That's it? Why is this 50% more than originally bid?
Extension of time. It has taken longer to complete the project as they were under contract for a lot less time and obviously we're under construction. So unfortunately, it's a cost that I try to negotiate down, but that's the minimum that we could. I am using these costs though as I negotiate with Side Logic other items. So I got the striping, there's another item that until I'm successful, I'll bring it up later. But I'm using some of this because my desire would be to back charge them for some of these costs.
You know, it sounds like, to me, I would go back to Site Logic for the slurry.
I tried, and that's a hard no.
No doubt you did. Yeah.
And I had to bring in their superiors. So I met with them this week and they brought in everyone. Because the answer up to now for months has been no, there's no way. We can't eat that cost because they've already lost money themselves.
Really?
It has taken longer. So with construction, the longer it takes, the more money you lose. So they're anxious to be able to leave as well. But unfortunately, we're right now at the mercy of SCE and DSA at Del Air because they required us to do a CCD. That's why we can't complete the battery storage system or the EV charging stations there yet.
It is what it is.
No, I mean, I do want to note too, though, that, I mean, I think, you know, as we're looking back on this project, I think that they sold us a much quicker project than what they were
Absolutely.
able to do. So the money they're losing on this is actually par for the course, in my opinion. I think the numbers that they gave us, the timeline they gave us was ambitious to get us, you know, thinking that we could hit this December deadline that we were never going to hit. And that's just unfortunate.
It is.
And the other thing candidly I'm sitting with is, they've done this many, many times.
Well-
They know the impact of bringing the brand.
I
So
should
not to
clarify.
have not to build that in feels.
Agreed.
They gave us two schedules. One schedule was for solar.
Right.
And then the other schedule was for EV charging stations. They're, according to them, they're still on schedule for the EV charging stations, and which is what's pending. Now, they do have quite a bit of punch list items to do, but the earliest that we can do any of those, because they would be impacting, again, parking lots, taking spaces, it's going to be done over spring break. So we have all of that scheduled to do. Some of these, though, they are definitely their fault. For instance, they arranged for inspectors to be there for an inspection, and then the concrete guy or the contractor that was doing whatever was not ready. And my inspector came out, so I have to pay the inspector. So these are added costs that I'm using these as my negotiating tools, my bargaining tools, thank you, to hopefully come to an agreement with other items that are gonna be cost for us.
Shocked, the ground is, they've done this 100 times.
Right.
That
So
feels disingenuous.
what's before us is for inspections.
Correct.
We need them to do it, and the inspectors responded to the schedule that they were providing, so this is not an issue of theirs.
Right.
It's not an inspector.
No, not at all. No, and they've been working with us.
Yeah, before us is the inspection.
Right.
Sorry, Mr. McKenna. We digress.
And
My
we-
answer, thank you.
And we might potentially, just as a heads up, be seeing a cost increase from the lab of record, which is the same thing as the other inspection portion of it. They have not come knocking yet, asking for an increase, but I suspect that's going to be the same case, unfortunately.
Any further questions? I'm gonna go ahead and call the question then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Section 12.1, approved 2024-25 second interim budget report as a positive certification. I'll take a motion. Second. And you're over to John.
Yeah, I would, if I could just jump into
Sure.
it. Yeah, I just want to share, Sean, thank you for preparing this budget document. Obviously, you have to, but thank you for doing that. And I just want to say too, you're going to see another item at 12.2. I know I shared an update. This is large, it's about an $800,000 purchase for Chromebooks, 1,700 of them. And that was kind of last minute. So, as Sean's putting together the second interim report, the fact that we were able to reflect that change within the second interim report is just something I wanted to highlight as we start this. So just thank you for being able to get that in and find the money for it because it's just needed.
Absolutely. All right, good evening, members of the board, staff, members of the community. I'll be presenting the Wiseburg Unified School District second interim budget report for the current fiscal year 24-25. So just a general overview of the items we'll be covering. First, the financial reporting requirements, our major assumptions that went into the development of second interim, a comparison of first interim to second interim, so noting the significant changes between the two. We'll talk about our multi-year projection for the general fund, and we'll talk about the changes and differences in fund balances for all of our other funds. We'll note those, and then kind of some of the next steps that will lead into our next budget period, which is the estimated actuals that will go to the board along with the adopted budget. So the estimated actuals will be the final budget for the current fiscal year. So our financial reporting cycle, as you can see, we're at our second interim reporting period. So we have to bring our second interim budget to the board by March 15th. That's a statutory requirement. And of course, we have to maintain a 3% reserve for economic uncertainty. There's a specific format that we're required to submit to the state, which is the SACS report that you see. That's the uniform budget report that all school districts report up to the state with. We must meet established criteria and standards that comprises about 30 pages out of that budget report. So it's a litany of met, not met kind of metrics that we're looking at there. And then again, this is just a snapshot in time of a dynamic budget that's constantly moving every day. And then this budget report, it includes our actual revenues and expenditures to date as of January 31st. And so again, we are filing the second interim with a positive certification that signifies that we're meeting our 3% reserve for economic uncertainty for the current budget year +2. So here are the major assumptions, and these are pretty similar to the ones that we reported out at first interim with just kind of some minor changes there. So the cost of living adjustment is currently the same for the current fiscal year.
For 25-26, we are projecting a COLA of 2.43%, and that was actually a reduction of about 0.5% in COLA compared to first interim. But in 26-27, the COLA that we're projecting is at 3.52%, and so that's actually about a 0.5% increase from what was being projected at first interim. So there was kind of a
Right?
exactly. So our enrollment is, we're currently projecting the same enrollment that we did at first interim. Our average daily attendance percentage is flat compared to our first interim. For our unduplicated pupil percentage, I just wanted to note that the amount here is actually higher, and I just wanted to signify that the way we're funded for LCFF is based off of a 3-year prior rolling average. So
Nearly 95% ADA tribute to the team. That's up. See, that's up like 1.5%. From prior.
Yeah.
So that's worthy of thank you and good work.
yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know, too, can I just add that doesn't include now the possibility that we have to do the recouping of the funds. It's actually, it's a state.
That's probably close to, that's probably $400,000 right there.
That is,
1.5% from where you were. We were
3 to 400, yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
That's great. I don't want to just roll that by. It was
Right.
good.
Yeah, no, any comments, questions, please feel free.
Well, I think I'm just to add is that as we, I know Monique this week has rolled out our attendance recovery plan as well. So that's, again, that's a program that's offered by the state, something we obviously have to do. And hopefully we'll recoup some of the days lost, up to 15 per kid, as I think we shared with the board last meeting. But anyway, that's rolling and hoping to recoup, push that number up even
Right,
further.
see a little bit of an uptick.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, that's not currently included in the second interim, any additional revenue we were to receive from that attendance recovery. And then our concentration grant add-on, we don't receive any dollars for that because our UPP percentage is not above that 55% threshold. Again, there are surrounding districts who do receive that funding, and it does kind of, it's a significant amount of funding, so it does kind of throw off the comparison if you're just looking at, neighboring
We were in the
districts.
40s a few years ago, and that's when we received it.
There was no question there.
Yeah, just comment. And so the TK add-on, just highlighting that amount again, the 88 amount did increase there by about 30 students as a P1. And then we had an increase in our corresponding TK through 3 ADA of about the same amount, but you can see we get add-on for both of those. I didn't include that increase in the budget because it's based off of P1 and we're not funded off of P1, we're funded off of P2. And so when we go from P1 to P2, we do see, some drops in ADA percentage. So we figured by the time we get our P2, it'll probably be about a wash. So it'll probably be kind of close to what we had calculated at first interim. Then our expenditures for our salary and benefits and our multi-year projection, we're budgeting step and column for certificate and classified both at 1%. The CalSTRS employer contribution amount remains the same, but still high compared to years ago. And then the CalPERS employer contribution rate is increasing slightly. Yeah, that is significant compared to years ago as well. So here's our first interim to second interim comparison. This is our general fund. This is the unrestricted side of the house. And so kind of in the explanation column, I just highlighted some of the kind of the significant differences. And so you can see in our LCFF funding sources, we did have an increase of about 117,000. So each year when we close the books, we have to look at kind of our state aid, our LCFF in prior years. And so you basically have to kind of estimate an amount. And so in February, the CDE certified that amount. And so it ended up in an increase in our LCFF revenue. So our total revenue increased by about 131,000 compared to first interim. And then going through our expenditure line items, our certificated salaries, you can see there's a decrease there. We did incorporate the 1% salary schedule increase that that was negotiated and passed, but that was offset by us kind of looking at our nurse salaries. And so we're reallocating one of our nurses' salaries to our Medi-Cal funding, which is a restricted funding source. So that helps out on the unrestricted side. Not much of a change for classified salaries. Employee benefits, there was an increase. And of course, that was due to the $500 cap, medical cap increase that we negotiated. And then just some statutory benefits that get added on to that additional 1% for the salary schedule increase. And then in services and other operating, we did notice an increase in some legal fees and some contracted services for like field trips and transportation associated with those. Some professional development for conferences and things of that nature. So that did result in about an increase of about 100,000. And then on our indirect costs, we actually, there's a decrease there of about 67,000. And so basically we're fully utilizing a lot of our restricted funds. So we're spending all the dollars on salaries, benefits, supplies and services and other operating. If you don't spend that entire amount, then of course you can allocate an indirect cost charge to that. But instead, we're charging them all out. A big portion of that is fully utilizing the LREBG funds, for example, for the Chromebook purchase. And so that resulted in about an increase in the net change in the fund balance of about 26,000. So not a big difference. I did want to note on the contributions, you see not much of a change there. However, we did increase our expenditures for special ed by about $350,000 for all the SCOOT and all the NPSs that are coming in a lot higher than anticipated. But fortunately, we had some SPED carryover dollars in mental health funds and early intervention. And we also got an increase in our AB 602 allocation due to the kind of the reallocation based on P1 at the SELPA level. So all those three funding sources together pretty much offset the increase in the costs that we're anticipating for the NPS and those contracts. So that was helpful.
Is that contributions one-time funding?
Contributions are us basically taking unrestricted dollars and backfilling all the additional like special ed costs, for example, that we don't receive funding for, and then also on the routine restricted maintenance side as well. So we do use some RDA funds to help contribute to routine restricted maintenance, but the amount of funds that we receive for RDA is about $720,000 a year. And routine restricted maintenance comes in at about $1.2 million a year. So we are starting to utilize some of those RDA funds that we have and that we've carried forward. Thank you to the resolution that the board passed to be able to utilize those for routine restricted maintenance. But as you can see, the RDA funds don't keep pace with routine restricted maintenance. So it does start to kind of encroach on the general fund side.
And it is statutory. So we have.
Absolutely. That's, yeah, the routine restricted maintenance, the 3%.
Yeah.
3% based on expenditures.
So Sean, that's basically a balanced budget in our unrestricted. I mean, we're talking 100 grand or something like that. Am I doing the math?
Yeah, I mean, we're still deficit spending by, about 291,000, but I mean, it's pretty, that's pretty good.
That's a transfer out.
Exactly. Yes, that's transfer out. Correct.
Do we have a goal to get that to literally balance by the final end of year?
The goal.
I mean, it's a goal, but when we get to the multi-year projection here, it's kind of going in the opposite direction. But I mean, that's a big reason for that is obviously we have some significant one-time funds, LREBG and the Arts, Music and Instructional Materials block grants that are paying for services that are, ongoing services within the general fund. So as we start to deplete those and the added cost for the Chromebook purchase, which is mostly being charged to LREBG. Some of those services that were being covered by those one-time funds are kind of rolling into the unrestricted side of the general fund. And so that's obviously something that we'll need to take a look at and see what services we want to continue. Do we want to pull some back?
So when do we have that conversation? That into the multi-year, it's going greater in deficit. None of us like that.
Yeah.
The budget committee can bring that back. Can we bring that to the budget committee and have that come back to us?
It'll be in that.
Absolutely.
We will show the same.
Yeah.
No longer on that committee. So.
And Sean,
Yeah,
I was looking at you like that.
Yeah.
You're factoring in, the cost of living increase into these outer years too, right?
The cost of living, yeah, adjustment, the increase for COLA on the revenue side, but also on the expenditure side. We look at, CPI and basically build in, it's about over 3% per year. And the increase in kind of cost for overall services and supplies and things of that nature.
You're getting those numbers from the Department of Finance?
Yes, we get the numbers from the Department of Finance, and then also we get a lot of the figures from School Services of California. They have a dartboard that has, all the different kind of assumptions and allocations, and it's updated regularly
They've
after.
been remarkably accurate in their projections, right?
Yeah, School Services is definitely the gold standard. So when you look at our LCFF over our 25-26 and 26-27 year, we have some pretty significant increases based on the COLAs projected. So we have a slight kind of decrease in our local revenue. We take a conservative side when we kind of get to the out years. We don't want to overestimate, donations and grant funds coming in because, we kind of budget those as we know about them. When you look at the transfers in, you see kind of a big increase in 26-27. And so last year we approved the establishment of Fund 40, which is really where those RDA funds live. So previously those funds were being deposited into the general fund. So you'd see them on the restricted general fund side of the house. But now that we're pulling those out and putting them into Fund 40, basically we'll be transferring funds in from Fund 40 to help with routine restricted maintenance. So it's the same, but it just looks different now that the funds are in Fund 40 versus them being in Fund 1. So we
We're not
still.
actually pulling different amounts of money. It's just the way it's being allocated.
Correct. Exactly.
So it's confusing. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hopefully I explained that well enough. And then on the contribution side, our numbers are up. And so we're just in our multi-year, we're just projecting that they're going to kind of stay that way. So our contributions for SPED we kind of are building in some increases, noting that our student population is still high there. So just to account for that. And then also the contributions, as I talked about, just kind of the depletion of kind of our RDA funds that we're using to contribute to routine restricted maintenance, to the extent that we kind of spend down what we've already collected and then what we continue to collect going forward kind of encroaches on the general fund as well. Then on the expenditure side, certificated classified salaries, we have that 1% built-in step and column. In employee benefits, you do see a pretty big jump on the unrestricted side from 25-26 to 26-27. And again, that's because of the exhaustion of those arts, music, and instructional materials block grant funds. We're utilizing a pretty significant amount of those to pay for operational cost, i.e. Health and welfare. So when those funds are exhausted, the health and welfare costs that they were covering go back into the unrestricted side of the general fund. Not much change in books and supplies. And then in services and other operating, you do see those increasing again. And it's for the same reason, the exhaustion of those one-time funds that are paying for support staff and services that now are going on the unrestricted side. And then in our other outgo, there's a slight increase there. That's just because of the solar lease payments. Those interest payments are just kind of increasing a little bit as the years go on. So all of that it is having an impact on our ending fund balance on the unrestricted side. We're still maintaining our 3% reserve for economic uncertainty, but when you kind of see the amount that drops down to the bottom outside, in addition to that 3%, we're kind of using that fund balance up. So you can see in 26, 27, we are kind of getting close to the 3% reserve, a little bit of unassigned, and then a little bit of committed. So these are the conversations that we are going to have in the budget committees and et cetera to kind of figure out how we want to proceed going forward.
No, it's fine. Go.
For negative deficit spending, 25, 26, 1.2, right?
Correct.
1.6 in 26, 27.
Correct.
Yeah, it's the budget committee.
Yeah, and you know, that conversation we're having about the solar and that money is not immaterial in that if we're not
It's
getting
not-
it till
it's not included.
26, that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say. Have we recalculated the amortization schedule for that loan and thus our payments on here? And maybe we should look at it if we don't get that money. Not plan on it, but just have awareness of it. It would be terrible. It would be terrible. But I don't want to stick my head in the sand.
Yeah, and we haven't included any of the actual reductions in our utility bills in this yet because
Right.
we just don't know what that's going to look like yet until they actually turn them on. So that's not included in here as well.
Okay, that's a win for us. That's a plus on the plus. side.
That'll be a plus. Correct.
Just to, you know, these are numbers on paper in the out years. Obviously, you're taking guesses and
Best guess.
obviously, well, kind of, but there is also, there's a significant, a couple actually significant one-time allotments that the districts are supposed to receive as well. That's not calculated in here because we don't have the information enough to be able to put a number to it, but we know it's going to be significant. Now, one-time funds kick the can down the road, but at least they kick the can down the road. And so we're able to reconcile something. So we'll bring that back, obviously, as we get it June 30th, like when we do our budget, our actual budget presentation to the board. Maybe we'll have it before our budget committee meeting, when we meet and can give a little bit of an idea. Probably not though, because that's probably going to be more in the May revise and then on into budget adoption negotiations. and such.
Yeah, in the governor's January budget proposal, there was a pretty significant amount put out there for one-time funds, and it was a pretty discretionary one-time fund. It was pretty broad in scope as to what you could spend it on. We kind of did an estimate as to what that amount would look like for Wiseburn, and it was to the tune of almost about 800,000. So come May revise, we're hoping that that's going to materialize and still on the table because that will obviously help out significantly.
Forgive me if I don't know this, maybe somebody here at the table does, or you do, Sean, that the California taxes are, federal taxes are not due until October now. Is that just Los Angeles? Is that all? of
Just LA County.
It's LA County.
Yeah.
It's
So
because
that's kind of another,
that the last time we did this with the delay, that had a
Yeah,
huge
it
impact.
had a very significant impact.
So this is, I'm sitting here very nervous, guys. I'll just be candid. I'm very nervous.
I'm always nervous.
Yeah.
At the tax I went to the Western Conference on Tax Exempt Organizations conference recently, and the tax attorneys and accountants there were recommending not waiting, even though you get the extension. So I hope
Not
that-
waiting.
Not waiting to file.
Well, yeah, but
know?
people being who they are. Yeah.
No, but I mean, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about if we have an extension just because we're here in LA County, that like the district should not wait.
Okay.
If we can't, if we are able to remain on schedule, we should.
Encourage everybody to file your tax.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I could foresee the people who might want to kind of buy themselves more time. Right, yeah.
For sure. For sure.
These are projected ending fund balances for all the other funds. There weren't any real significant differences here, other than Fund 40. Again, we established that fund this year, so all of the RDA funds that we received this year will be deposited in Fund 40. So the amount that we typically receive, it's close to about the prior year amount, is about 720,000. Then some of our next steps and considerations, obviously the impact of any classified negotiations. Those are, as we see, they're coming to the table, so we'll see what happens there. We're hoping to get much more clarification come the governor's May revise. And then, of course, over the next couple of months, we'll be incorporating any of our LCAP updates to align with our adopted budget going forward for the next year. As always, I always want to shout out to my business services support team. They're all wonderful people. They work hard. They're great. And without their support, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you to all of them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Sean. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Rebecca?
Aye.
I vote. Thank you. Item 12.2, approve the purchase of Chromebooks from NWN Carousel for academic instruction and assessment. Is there a motion?
Your motion?
Second?
Second. With a question.
Michelle?
I apologize if this was covered in the last two meetings. Is it fairly brand new? With that purchase, does it get specified as to where they belong, or is it district-wide?
Meaning, are we buying it for a particular site? Is that,
Right.
yeah, so there's 1,700, so it's gonna probably spread out. It will definitely spread out, right? But we'll start at the upper grades. I mean, Tony's working on a plan. We're happy to bring that maybe back at a meeting, or we can send that in an update to the board before our next meeting as to how that's gonna go, or at a meeting, maybe not the next meeting. But yes, the plan is 1,700. We'll salvage those, and that's because it's like for like device of 1,700 devices that are end of life. So we're gonna basically phase those out, add these 1,700, start at the top, the oldest grades, roll them down. We'll get as far as we can, and then the ones that are still in good condition, we still have so many that are in good condition, we'll then push down to the lower grades, and go there. And then likely in the next, maybe next year, we'll be able to purchase another, to get to 2,500, basically another, 800 to push them all the way down. So we just couldn't, we just can't afford more than that, right?
This is a big ticket.
That's huge. That's
Huge purchase.
This is one-time funds, right? And
Yeah.
and lottery funds. What's the life expectancy of these things?
What is it, Tony?
4 to 5 years.
4 to 5.
Really? Okay, because I think the last time we bought these, it was 3, so that's good.
And Chromebooks don't go all the way down to K. Is that correct? My understanding is Chromebooks are used mostly for, and are able to, so that we can go all the way down to K.
1-to-1, yeah. And there's some iPads that are out, and TK's iPads, yeah.
And is that the standard that we want to maintain? Is TK, but kindergarten can go Chromebooks, but TK will remain with the iPads. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.3, approve additional funds for Scoot education. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Just talking about.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Personnel, item 13.1, approve an unpaid leave of absence. Miriam Franco. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second, we're just with the question, is this consistent with our policy of absence?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Closed session, second closed session. Blake, my understanding, we do not need a closed session, right? We don't have a second one, right?
Review.
All right, let's see. Upcoming dates and events. Our next meeting is Thursday, March 27th. Any other dates? Blake, already?
Just just want to point out the groundbreaking.
Oh, yes. 26th.
3:30.
3:30.
Be there.
And it'll be another 10-minute presentation from Noemi.
Excellent.
I'm starting to side with you here, Noemi. I'm telling you.
I feel
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Now she was talking. She really tried. A for effort, I'm telling you.
I want to be up there.
If anything, we're the ones slowing it down with all our questions.
Well, probably.
Motion to adjourn.
On that note, I will accept the motion to adjourn from
You have a
Rebecca and a
second.
second from Neil. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.